Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, wherever you're at. Welcome to the fifth episode. We made it to 5 episodes, y'all. That's like crazy. It went from wondering if I should even do this to now we're already into 5 episodes. But anyway, welcome, everyone. And you can find me on all the major socials under CO Ride Guy. That's at CORIDEGUY. That's right, awesome Amy. Let's do this. How you doing? How you doing, Twin Pines? Bubba Sue, how you doing? And so yeah, here we are once again. Can't believe we've made it this far already. Time's gone by so quickly. But as I always say, let's get into this. And guess what we're going to talk about first? We're going to talk about Waymo. Hey, Jam Woodworking. What's up, Joe? How you doing, brother? But so yeah, the latest thing that happened with Waymo, I think many of you heard about the unfortunate incident with the active shooter. Well, with that situation, exactly, Waymo. Um, there, I'll just let the video show it. Let's just bring up this video and we can see what kind of mistakes Waymo's making right now and what's going on with it.
With the autonomous vehicle company Waymo, after video showed one of those self-driving vehicles blocking an ambulance on a side street near the scene yesterday. The EMS chief says with medics' quick response, this delay likely did not impact patient outcomes.
I will say that we're already in touch with Waymo and the autonomous vehicles to give them our concerns and work with them in order to try to address this moving forward.
Representatives with Waymo declined to provide KVUE with an on-record statement about the situation.
So there we go. Once again, Waymo is failing to do things that almost any basic driver would know to do. I mean, why the hell was the thing parked there like that right in the middle of the street to begin with, and then to just completely go deer in the headlight whenever the ambulance was trying to get there? Thankfully, as you heard on the report, that it didn't impact the outcome of the safety of the people this time. But what's going to happen next time? We keep having all these close calls. Legislators, you got to pull back on this. Waymo, you are going to market too quickly with this stuff. Somebody's going to get dead at your expense. And I know you really don't care because you're owned by Alphabet. You got plenty of money, but this is about more than just money. This is about people's lives, Waymo. So do better. This just absolutely awesome, Amy. Lawsuit waiting to happen. And then Waymo didn't even respond back, make any formal statement about what's going on with it because they know it was a big whoopsie. Well, where were their driver partners, whatever the hell they call them, that are in the Philippines? Where was somebody with that? Now, again, this happened at night, so they say they've got 3,000 cars, and so they probably only had 2 or 3 people on, and somebody was literally asleep at the virtual wheel and wasn't able to command the Waymo to try and get the hell out of the way. If you see in that video, they didn't really illustrate it, but there's another video and it shows there's an officer that was behind it he got into the car and attempted to move it, but wasn't even able to move it, which they don't want to do that with a regular passenger. So it ends up locking everybody out. There's a whole lot of safety precautions that need to happen, particularly when they're going to let these things run around without drivers in them. Somebody's got to be able to take command at them. Bubba Sue has a comment in here. I think the cops, firefighters, etc., should have an override. Absolutely, be able to do an override on it. I mean, if I was that cop that was behind it, I'd have pushed the damn thing out of the way and had no regrets about it. And I'm sure the city probably would have supported that. So, you know, hey, welcome in, Steve, Rideshare Rodeo. So, as a side note, Steve just stopped in. If you guys don't get too bored with me tonight, I will be on Steve's Thursday show and same time, but on Thursday. And I'm on all month every Thursday. So, if you guys don't get too bored with me, or if you want to watch Steve beat up on me a little bit, then come in and join his show as well. And that's for everyone just listening, it's a Rideshare Rodeo podcast. And we'd love to have you guys jump in on there too. So, anyway, that's the big disaster that's going on with Waymo. They're screwing up again with basic functions. Steve, I don't know if you got a chance to see that yet with the thing that happened with the active shooter in the ambulance that was trying to get through, and there was a Waymo blocking it, just sitting in the middle of the street. So, anyway, all right. Well, somebody's got to do something about Waymo. So, legislators, step in, deal with this, do your damn jobs. It's what we elected you for. So here's an interesting one, and this isn't directly to rideshare or food delivery, but it's indirect. It indirectly could impact any of us. So there's a new thing that's called sliding that is occurring heavily in Nashville, and I wanted to try and bring this out to everybody's attention now because, if these thugs are successfully doing it there, it's now out all over social media, so somebody else is going to get the bright idea and start trying to do it other places. But what they're doing is when you're there fueling up your vehicle, of course your vehicle's unlocked, and a lot of times they're running. Not a good idea. I've been guilty of it myself, though, particularly when it's cold, because I'm standing right there. But good way to get carjacked. So I say turn your vehicle off. And but anyway, so the vehicles are unlocked, and what's happening is they may either use somebody to distract the person while they're getting gas, or they just simply sneak up and then open up the door carefully. And particularly women, a lot of women carry purses. I have my man purse that I carry in the front passenger seat, so that's typically where everybody carries stuff, and they know that. So as you're distracted either by this person or getting fuel, they'll open up the side door and they'll sneak in and grab your personal belongings, cell phone probably even too, and then go take off with it while you're still busy getting fuel. So this is something that's really become a big issue in Nashville. Like I said, they've even come up with a term for it. Call it sliding, because they're sliding into the car while you're busy. So they have more than a dozen documented cases of it going on. So keep an eye on that, guys. Stay vigilant. Maybe make sure to close your doors and lock your doors when you get out to get fuel. I know it's a little inconvenient, but little inconvenience could save some huge headaches and loss of income from you. So just wanted to talk about that one a little bit that I saw on there that I think could impact us. All right, looking at the smack that free like button, Steve says. Absolutely. Throw some hearts out there. Give me some pity hearts. Did you get so Steve says I carry industrial bear mace and would love to have a reason to use it and live stream it. That could be good. Did you replace your bear mace after a bear took off with it or something? Bubba Sue, luckily I don't get out of my car to get gas. Do you have an EV? I assume, Sue. But Steve, I'll pay. You should probably put that like on Patreon and make that a paid admission. I'll pay for that one. All right. So next we have another interesting thing that doesn't directly impact rideshare right now, and probably probably for a very long time. But Steve, you mentioned this on your show about the Joby thing with Uber Air in Dubai. Well, the interesting thing about this is I did some digging into it, and the they are going to be. I'll bring up in case some of you haven't seen this. This is the little aircraft that they're planning on doing autonomous rides, starting in Dubai. Hopefully, what they say, hopefully next year. And they're calling it Uber Air. They partnered up with Uber. Now, a lot of people have hated on Joby. Joby's a publicly traded stock, but they have a whole lot of funding and a whole lot of support. One of their biggest shareholders is Toyota. Yep, Uber Air. So the go back over to the live here. So Toyota's a major funder of this. Now, one thing that any of you that do rideshare, and you can get a lot of good intel about what's going on in the world, whether it's from prices getting ready to go up, which true story happened last year before that bird flu thing came out. There was a big egg conference. I'm talking to these guys, and they're like, egg prices are getting ready to more than double, and then boom, a few months later, that's exactly what happened. But they do a lot of automotive related industry shows here, and a lot of the buzz has been that they've been talking about hydrogen rather than putting a lot of investment into electric. Well, with these little 200-mile-an-hour aircraft that Joby's designed, that they're also developing a hybrid hydrogen electric propulsion that they're doing testing with. So they've got a lot of technology that they're doing that really could change things from transportation in the air. Yeah, the vertical takeoff and landing. Well, it is but they're making a lot of progress that people don't. Mark my word on this. I know even Sergio, has said he shorted the hell out of Joby stock, and I think he shorted it like 10, and currently they're like 18. But I think I think they're the underdog that nobody really recognizes, and particularly now that they've got a partnership with Uber and they're really pushing stuff in Dubai. And Dubai's a great place to really kind of do that, because people love extravagant things and everything grandiose. And if one of those things fall to the sky and hit a Lamborghini, they'll just go buy another one. They'll just leave it parked on the side of the road. So I say to keep an eye on this one, guys, that it's going to kind of change the platform. And the other piece of this is we always have all joked about Uber calling themselves a technology company. Well, they now bought all those parking facilities, and I don't think I talked about that one last week, but they now are going to include parking facilities in their app. They bought a small parking company, like where you pay on your phone. They're going to integrate all that. They're now, of course, they got their robo taxis, things like that. Uber truly is becoming a technology company, like they always promote. So they're just going to be exploiting a whole lot of other industries and people, is my opinion about what's going to come down to it. And meanwhile, we're having all these safety issues. Now they're wanting to launch forward with sticking autonomous aircraft in the air. So they're always just going to keep pushing boundaries, and nobody's going to stop them. It doesn't look like. So back over to the chat here. So Steve says, just like Waymo, Joby needs a complete rooftop infrastructure and FAA approval maybe by 2050. I think they'll get that approval before 2050, much earlier in 2050, Steve. I hope it wouldn't come before that, but no, I think it's I'd almost bet they're going to get some kind of, because they're already working with them to create the legislation or to create the so hopefully things aren't frozen on your end as much as they are on mine. But there we go. Now we're back in the game here. So keep an eye on it, guys. That's all I'm saying. I don't think we've heard the last of them, and in particular Toyota making a big investment in it as well. And I think Toyota is probably using a lot of that to be able to uh, for hydrogen technology for automobiles as well. So I think they're teaming up with them from that is what I would be guessing just based on what I've heard from other investors. Just glitching is all. I'm always glitching, Amy. Oh, you mean the app or the drone delivery fails every time? Yeah, see that drone delivery thing, and maybe I've got a really good. I think it was in Dallas area last week where there was one that crashed into the side of the house, and those things are huge. Those delivery drones, those Walmart ones. Um, Again, that's the other thing is what's safety considerations. I mean, shit. Look what the FAA did for just getting to fly a little bitty drone. You know, the same size of this piece of paper. They're making people jump through all kinds of damn hoops and everything, and then all of a sudden they finally started pulling back on the restrictions. But it was really a big giant pain in the butt because the FAA is notorious for not being very progressive. So, Steve, maybe you're right, and maybe I'm calling this one wrong. I'm saying 2030. Steve says 2050. Um, we'll we'll see if we're around in 2050 to see who was right or wrong. So, all right. Oh, the other thing is that they're adding facilities in California. They currently have one in Dayton, Ohio, and then they're adding one in Marina, California. It's all smoke and mirrors to mislead investors to get in on the ground floor. Well, that's the whole, you got to have some kind of snake oil and hype with the technology, Steve. I mean, we can't just sit out there and sell grandma's bitters and, that'll cure everything. They got to have their version of it for this day and age. So another one that I just threw in here this afternoon, had one of the listeners send this to me. We keep talking about background checks and everything in there, and then Uber, we talked about it last week. They came out and said, well, they're going to be, improving background checks and so on and so forth, and it was just one of those. Don't know how they think they're going to be able to do it because, again, let's real quickly go back over to Checkers website. It says they cover a third of the U.S. That's not going to be able to make improvements, guys. And then the other thing is that we have states that have laws that prohibit providing information beyond 7 years, including California, Kansas, Maryland, Massachusetts, Montana, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, Washington, and Lord only knows who's gonna come behind next. But so what Uber's solution to all this is, here it is, guys. I was wrong. You have now your enhanced criminal report has been approved. So it's not just a regular criminal report, it's an enhanced criminal report. So I was wrong. They changed the wording of it. Other than that, I don't think they did a damn thing, guys. There's no way that they could. It's not gonna. Again, right there, it's on Checkers' website. They have limitations, so they can't just magically say sprinkle fairy dust on it. And this is one area where I wish they could, sprinkle some fairy dust, and all of a sudden they got more. They have improved background checks, but we've beat that over and over. But now they just put a nice little buzz on there saying, "Oh, you're enhanced." Is that like anyway? Um, all Uber's lives have gotten old with everyone's. Now we're back to VTOL. So we're still this is back to the Joby stuff. I'm sure that next they're going to offer people the ability to fly simply by putting a phone with an app in your pocket. You can have a little drone. Your phone turns into a drone and it takes you off into the wild blue yonder. So anyway, that's kind of interesting that now, with these background checks, you now have an enhanced criminal report. You don't just get the regular old criminal report. So I'm sure there'll be new delays with the enhanced version of that coming out. And I thank goodness that they are. Hopefully, I hope I'm missing something on it, but I'm just looking at the facts. I'm not. It'll be Uber Superman feature. Hey, Lynn, what's up? Welcome in. So, it'd be great if they could do better background checks, but everything says that they can't right now. And, then you have this piece of shit. So, and it says a Kentucky Lyft driver. Well, he wasn't a Kentucky Lyft driver. He's actually a Cuban that is here illegally, and so now he got arrested for that heinous crime that he was involved in, and now he's on a detainer. I'm not going to get into the politics of it about when he came in and who's blaming who for it. The bottom line is, where's the background check on this dude, and was he using a stolen account, or did he just circumvent the system and was operating on his own account? Well said. Then you have this. Yeah, I just call it like it is, Steve. I mean, I try and filter my mouth a little bit, but some people like that. That's all you can call them, because that's all they are, and it doesn't sound like there's any dispute about, that whether he committed this crime or not. It seems apparently it is very evident what was gone on. I'm not going to go into the details of it because it's really horrific that there's human beings out there. I mean, the guy's a waste of precious oxygen, in my opinion. So I think the detainment's a little soft, even with it. So all right. So yeah, we got they had the ICE detainer on this guy. And I'm going to move on from it because I didn't want to talk about this one anymore. It's so damn disgusting. But what I do want to move on to and talk about was rideshare and delivery endorsements for your insurance policy. This is one thing that a lot of people, probably more people, don't carry it than do, and a lot of people don't understand that the importance of it. So these the endorsements on your insurance, for either whether it's for rideshare or you're doing delivery, that is to cover that time frame when you're on the clock. You're in active time, but you're not actually. You either don't have a butt in the seat or headed to pick up somebody in the seat. But you're in the period one hour. Anyway, you're in period one with it. And then with food delivery, while you're just sitting there waiting for an order, whether you're going down the road or whatever, it's not like you're going to the restaurant because you'd be on, DoorDash, Uber Eats, whoever's insurance at that point that you need that coverage whenever you're not, when you have the apps on, but you're not doing anything. Because if you get into an accident, your insurance company finds out, and if they want to, they will find out, and you won't get covered for it. And so you or your vehicle. So if you get injured, you're screwed. If your vehicle gets injured, you're screwed, because that's a lot of that's our livelihoods is doing this. So we need to make sure you're considering those endorsements. They're not that expensive. They're like $20 to $30 a month, depending on where you live. Mine's about $30 a month. But that's not commercial insurance either. That's a whole different thing. But it just covers that little gap in between when you're not on your time, but you're not actively working on any of these platforms. So find out from, there's there's not a lot of insurance companies that do it. Progressive does it, Allstate, State Farm, Farmers, and then USAA. And I would not go with Allstate. That was just my personal experience with them. I think they're crap for an insurance company. I mean, even if you go and look at all the stuff that happened during COVID, they have a whole bunch of unpaid claims still from COVID that they're not paying out on, and their customer service is awful. But that's my unendorsement of Allstate. It's not a paid unendorsement. That was just free advice from my experience. All right, let's go look at see what we got going on in the chat here. I'm gonna look at it on my phone. It's a little bit easier. You can't filter that, says Bubba Sue. Yes, I did see the video. If you guys have, so speaking of Uber background check, Steve mentioned about his video. If you're a fan of Office Space, you'll love the little parody that's going on in that. You'll love lives that show booking photos. Well, stick around, Steve. Joe, you got one last week. You got one this week. Who knows what we'll have next week? And let's see, Lynn. Steve, I was going to be nice and not ask Sue about her dash cam yet, but there it is. Negative. She does not have her dash cam. Come on, guys. You got to give me a bunch of subs so I can get some paid sponsorships so we can get Sue a dash cam. It's the only way it's going to happen, I think, at this point. Red Tiger, whatever that one is that keeps trying to get people, come hit me up and let's do a deal. Let's get Sue a dash cam. All right, so we talked about that on the rideshare endorsements. What else we got here? Every week you guys are going to ask. Well, I was gonna let it slide. I thought about it and I thought, nope. But I guess so. Yep. I guess we're committed to it. So does that mean we're going to ask her Thursday too if she comes into your live? Amy was going to be nice. She didn't want to be that person. Well, Steve and I will for the rest of the world, I guess. All right. So I had a couple situations within the last month. We've all heard about what a pain in the butt it is once somebody loses something in the car. Well, the great thing is now, and I say great sarcastically, is that now Uber has decided to say, well, we're going to distance ourselves from that. So last time I had something happen where somebody left something in my car, and I was contacted, they contacted Uber, filled out the little form, and then Uber sends me a message saying, well, we'd like to provide your phone number to the person so they get a hold of you directly. hell no, you're not going to do that. So, number one, let's just talk about that. Uber in their own damn app says don't ever share your personal information, including phone numbers. But then Uber goes and decides, well, it's not really it's not real convenient for us to help facilitate the return of the item for our customer. So, driver, we're just going to step out of it and let you, our vendor, and our customer work it out. We're going to just step out of it. Now that's complete crap. I mean, they are Uber's customer. They're not my customer. I get paid from Uber. I don't get paid from them. We're facilitating, this transaction together. So, and that means the entire life cycle of it, including if you're a customer, my passenger, they're my passenger, but they're not my customer necessarily, goes and leaves crap in the car. Uber, do your job, stay in the middle of this, and then also give them my damn $20 when I give them their stuff back. Don't just sit there and wait for the person to have to click a little button and say that I treat them like they're my customers, Sue, but I have no contract with them. My contract's with Uber, so I would beg to differ on that one if you look at it from a contractual standpoint. But anyway, you got to stay in the middle of this, Uber. Give me my $20. I don't care if the customer goes back and clicks the button or not. If I'm capable of driving these people down the road and I'm capable of saying I returned the damn item, give me my $20. I don't know why they're making this so difficult. I'd love anybody's opinion on this because they make something that doesn't have to be hard so much harder than it really needs to be. And they're pulling $20 from the customer anyway. So it's not, and then giving it to the driver. So other than a few, little automated things going on, there's not a lot in there. So I don't know why they're making this so damn difficult, but each of these that I've had to deal with recently, they've taken 4 times as long. And one of them I didn't get paid on, whatever. I just kind of, and this is the sad thing is that Uber knows this, is that, I got tired of fighting with them after contacting them 5 or 6 times. So now I'll just come on here and bash them and expose them for the thieves that they are. I certainly hope they didn't charge the customer, but I don't know if they did. So that's where we got with that. Another one from this week, I had picked up a guy from a dealership that was getting his car worked on, and we're talking about rideshare back and forth, and he had a lot of interest in it. And then he says, "Man, there's this really great company that's now in New York." And I was like, "I hope you're not going to say who you are." And he said, "Well, there's this company, Empower." Yep, Samir, I told you this one's going to be for you. I'm going to talk about Empower because we were down towards the end of his ride when he mentioned it. And so I told him, I said, I'll bring it up on my podcast. And so I got a new subscriber not long after he said he was going to subscribe. So I hope that's you. And Samir, I hope you're on here. If not, listen to the replay or listen to it on the podcast. But Empower, I think most of us are pretty in tune, at least the regular rideshare and gig economy people are familiar with Empower, because the Empower CEO last year in November, I think it was threatened in D.C., the District of Columbia, not Washington State, that he was going to get thrown in jail if he didn't shut the app off. Now, if you go on their website, it still shows that they're offering hiring incentives for drivers in in Washington, D.C. So not sure what's going on with that, but this guy likes to really push the envelope. And he's now entered into New York City, which is really kind of another stupid area to do it, other than it's so big that it's probably a little easier to be lawless. But they've gone on and they're going full bore in New York City trying to operate there. And then I'm I'm just she feels so justified in that he's running a platform that, well, it a decentralized driver focused rideshare app is how it's often described, which is kind of silly. It's either a rideshare app or it's not. It's, and that's where this guy's trying to get around it, because he's making arguments. In one of the articles, he said that he was, let me find this. It says, every driver using Empower software to work for themselves in New York is a TLC, same as the TNC, but the TLC is the taxi limousine commission. That's what it is in New York, and instead of transportation network committee, like here in Colorado and other places, they use term TLC. So he says everyone in New York is a TLC licensed driver using a TLC licensed vehicle. Now, the interesting thing in New York is everybody, you just said it, Steve, but or Bubba Sue, they're not able. So that's what he's saying, Bubba Sue, is that they're able to do it in New York City because they have commercial insurance. Here's the caveat to that, though. Their commercial insurance covers them for Uber and Lyft, but they're only when they're working for those registered platforms, or if they have their own PUC number and are doing private rides, then they can probably use the app to facilitate that. But the ones that they're focusing on and the TLC is talking about is saying that they are licensed, but they're not licensed with Empower. And Empower is the one facilitating the rides. So therefore, Empower is the TLC. So Empower should have its own commercial insurance. They should be registered. And the city of New York says they're operating illegally. And I would agree with that based on that information. And so the TLC said, regardless of whether drivers are individually licensed, any trip dispatched through an unregistered company is illegal. That goes back to just what I was saying about, they're facilitating it through the Empower app. So that's the big point right there. And some people call it a gray area. It's not a gray area. He's trying to make it gray, and a lot of other people are trying to rationalize it that way. But that's the whole reason that the TNCs and the TLCs exist, is to try and protect both the consumers and the drivers. And guarantee these guys, it's going to be like getting into an accident and say, who were you driving for? Your commercial insurance would say, I don't have you listed as being driving with Empower. What's this Empower thing? Well, they were out of the scope of our policy, so we're denying your claim. Steve says, you'd think New York City's new mayor would be down with Empower. No, because he is like totally on board with the taxi union. So they really lobbied hard for his election, and he is standing beside them. So that's what also is going to really be a problem for Empower to continue their venture. And again, when this guy treats everything like it's just his own little, he'll do it however he wants just because he rationalizes that that's how it should be. That's not a good way to make make friends. So I mean, I guess he'd go to the state of New York, and like she started to let Waymo operate without having drivers in it, and then she pulled that back. So I don't think she's going to be supportive of Empower either. So that's the 2 cents on free New York taxis. I don't think so, Joe. Maybe that's actually a really good point. No, we're not getting into that one. I just meant lawlessness, free groceries, and snow removal. Who's if it ever snows, who's going to come remove my snow for me? Yeah. Anyway, been a bit of a crazy week, so I do have a shorter show today than than it has been in the past, but I do appreciate everyone, and we're going to keep going down this road, and we will talk about the things that matter and have these discussions. I like having these discussions. It's okay. We can agree to disagree on a lot of these topics as well, too, because none of us are attorneys and don't play attorneys on television, but we do have a lot of people who've done a lot of research, and I always try and do a lot of research myself without just talking out my ass. So hopefully we can continue down this road so we can eventually get Sue a dash cam. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys all so very much. We made it through 5 episodes now. Now we'll get that one under the on the books, and hope everybody comes in and tunes in next week. We'll be here. We're going to see if we can get this 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, and be posted hopefully by Thursday on all the podcast platforms. Everyone, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Be safe out there.